So, with no further ado, I'm going to go ahead and review Sappy, and You Know You're Right. I feel like I couldn't do it justice just talking about Kurt's music. Kurt Cobain, that is. And he wrote the lyrics and the music for Nirvana. When you read the lyrics and the words for Nirvana, you'll notice there's only one writer that's really ever listed, and that is Kurt Cobain himself. And listening to these recordings on Spotify, because I am part of someone's family plan, so I get to listen to it unadulterated, free of charge, through their family plan. And I've been taking advantage of that. There are 68 songs to be heard, and even the recordings that are on there that we know of are rather unique and rare. So I've been very excited to delve into it and actually listen to it. But in order to make these videos, I actually have to listen to it, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you like what the song is about necessarily. But I do feel like today is a wonderful day for me to talk about Sappy and You Know You're Right. Those are the first two songs I'm going to talk about on the box set. And the reason why I'm choosing Sappy and You Know You're Right is because those are the first songs I heard like last year. So 20 years after the recording comes out, I become aware that these songs exist. And I might have been listening to Sappy and You Know You're Right since 2023. But either way, that's only in the last several years. And then I only learned within the last couple months that there is a box set that was released in 2004, 10 years after we lost Kurt Cobain in the flesh. He's still very inspirational to us in spirit and truth. And you'll notice I will never speak of Kurt Cobain in the past tense. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed, or destroyed, however you want to say it. And Kurt is very much still inspiring millions of people like myself. And yes, that would be an artist. I am an artist. And I want to talk about some of that today, about how, I have been very scared to be in the public eye because I watched what happened to Kurt in the 90s. And at the same time, I was, thinking about becoming a radio voice. I was in a band called Lost Souls. I was also at North High School in the drama magnet, and I was already getting backlash for trying to be someone creative. And I saw Kurt go through it, and I really feel like Sappy and You Know You're Right are about that experience in the public eye and some of the backlash, and how I hate that word because of what it implies. Like, it seems to me it has some roots in like slavery, let's say, and who thinks they have the right to, give someone backlash for being great at something? Let's think about that one. Obviously, someone who would consider themselves an oppressive, however they do that, whether it be on a personal or political level, it certainly infringes on one's privacy. And I find Sappy very interesting because from what I understand about the song Sappy is Kurt Cobain loved like nature. He was very rooted in nature and often made a lot of references to it in his music about the natural world. And Something in the Way is a wonderful example. Like, it's okay to eat fish because they don't have any feelings. Like, he imagines he can understand what creatures are sentient and which aren't, which is interesting because Sappy, from what I understand, the words here kind of tell us this. I hope it doesn't start playing because right now I'm trying to read the lyrics and not play the song. But if you go onto Spotify, you can see the lyrics. And it says, "And if you save yourself, you will make him happy. He'll keep you in a jar and you'll think you're happy. He'll give you breather holes and you'll think you're happy. He'll cover you with grass and you'll think you're happy. Now, Then I'm reading as lyrics come. You're in a laundry room. You're in a laundry room. Reclusion came to you. Yeah. Ah. Well, we can go on here, but that is the way he starts the song. And from what I understand, he's talking about his pet turtle living in a cage in a laundry room. It has breathing holes in its cage, but it's literally in a shell to begin with. And one's got a fortune that said, if you're a turtle and you don't have a shell, are you homeless or naked? Well, let's say you're both at that point, homeless and naked. So your shell is your home and your clothing. And you can put you can stick your neck out, or you can keep your, hide in your shell. So now we got an animal who its home is its shell and its clothing, its armor, and it's hidden in another cage, inside yet another cage in a laundry room. And it's happy because it's covered in grass and it wallows in its own waste, but it thinks it's happy. And the clues, they came to him, and he realized, oh no, I'm not free, I'm in a laundry room. Well, when you're a celebrity or you're someone who is making a video like me, you get a lot of feedback that you didn't necessarily ask for, a lot less support than you might want to believe, and perhaps even certain death at the hands of people who maybe you shouldn't have spent time with. I know that's a harsh criticism, but as I understand, Kurt was trying to take control of his life, back of his life, from people who were doing things that were a poor reflection upon him as a parent and an individual, and so much guilty by association, and was ready to tell people to get out of his house. But it looks like he didn't make it through that situation. And there are some questions that the proper authorities didn't ask at the time, which is why we often say justice for Kurt, which is the truth of what happened. And we can look to his own words, lyrics, and even his journals. I had a friend tell me that I am, as someone who's journaled and had a mother who once would sneak in and read my journals, and I had to hide them from Roxanne so she wouldn't delve into my privacy and my creative process and use my own words against me through my writings. I still struggle with writing it down so that someone doesn't get their hands on it and take it out of context, and use it against me, assuming that maybe I hurt myself when I didn't, or maybe I was around people who were doing really bad things and I shouldn't have been around those people. But the world is full of people like that, right? And how do you set the boundary? Well, I think Sappy is about realizing your circumstances, and I think it's interesting because then we get into You Know You're Right. And You Know You're Right, again, is written by Kurt, and it's previously unreleased with Nirvana until 2004, but again, Kurt wrote all the lyrics for all the music for Nirvana. Yeah, he did. He didn't obviously play every instrument in Nirvana, but he certainly wrote all the music and the melodies, the lyrics and the melodies. And the way he starts off, You Know You're Right, is I will never, I need to get back to the beginning. I will never, I wrote it down. I will never walk it through. I will never promise you. It's some place I follow you. I will never wander through. This is me in love again. Guess I'll never have, guess I'll never have a fan. This will mean me to me. I could never have a seat. It's a never-ending dream. It will always want to flee. And then, of course, he says, I will be the one to tell you to dream, to continue to dream. Like, this, we can talk about how this song is, again, about someone experiencing coercive control from the community, perhaps a spouse and others who had a vested interest in having access to Kurt Cobain. And as someone who writes myself and creates and has written hundreds of journals and ran out of millions of pens, you're giving a lot of yourself already to the public by producing your art and showing it to them. What more do they want from you? Their bottom line. So the person that I was friends with didn't meet my standards. It's kind of hard to do that these days. It's called Boundaries, and I think both of these songs are about setting very clear boundaries with people. About your body autonomy, your intellectual property, your comings and goings, and even your privacy in the public eye, even if you are a celebrity. Or, you publish a book and people want to know more about it. It's like, no, that's not how this works. You don't get to know all the gory details of someone's life. I mean, hopefully they're creative enough of a genius where you don't need to know all the ins and outs of their personal life. And I, as someone who journals and has journaled for years and has written hundreds of journals, I don't necessarily want people reading them. It's not only... You may not like what you hear about yourself in my journal. It's my personal thoughts, And being intrusive with someone's personal life and thoughts is so uncanny. And trying to delve in to their life like that, when that's not what they were offering you, is a little overbearing. And I would say there's a lot of people out here who want to focus on Kurt's death and not his life. And apparently, a friend of mine did read their journals. An ex-friend. We'll just call them, could have been a friend, but was not a friend. Again, standards. But, it's like, apparently he said, if you're reading this, quit reading it. Kurt Cobain said this in his journal. I still have not read it out of respect for his memory and his privacy, which I feel a lot of people are lacking here. But, that's a whole other subject. And it certainly feels like part of what led to Kurt's demise. He was trying to get free and have creative control over his existence and not let money be the bottom line or even his fame or celebrity, which is why I respect him. He used his celebrity to actually accomplish things that matter, like, when he wrote Rape Me. And, again, we can all think about what that means. It's pretty obvious. And it goes right back to what I'm saying here about Kurt and his personal life and having respect for an artist like himself, especially since he was down to earth. And one of the things we know about Kurt is he loved John Lennon. And from Montage of Heck, Tracy talked about how Kurt had nightmares of being hurt himself for being outspoken. I mean, I know the feeling. I don't know how many times my mother's warned me that I'm going to get myself killed for being as radical as Malcolm X. Well, here I am. I'm turning 50 this year, and I'm not about the backlash or the drama. I'm about creative geniuses like Kurt Cobain using their celebrity to do something important, not aggrandize themselves. I mean, with endless beef and drama and riff. No thanks. Not interesting at all. But I'm going to continue to delve in to With the Lights Out and talk about it. And in a way that not many people will or are going to, because they ain't going to win any fans. Like, apparently he says, I will never have a fan. Hi, everyone. If you're out here to hate me, the person you're hating on is yourself. The person you're trying to disrespect someone, the person you're truly disrespecting is yourself. And you're setting your bar so low. Maybe you should bring it up a little higher and focus on what's important, which is a creative genius's creative genius, and not the past and the drama and the name dropping and the living in the past sort of thing. Like, who needs to do that? That was 1994. It is 2025. And there are a lot of creative geniuses still here fighting for our lives. As outspoken as we can be against the status quo, you should try it sometime. It won't make you the most popular person, but it could make you president like Abraham Lincoln. You know what I mean, Gene? Have a nice day. This Happy Medium Review. I'll see you again with more reviews about the music. Because like Kurt said, it's all in the music, man. It's all in the music. Read, write, live, learn, enjoy. Rinse, repeat. Have a nice day.